One of our top stories on Montana Morning today. On Friday, news broke nationwide that the Trump administration would be ending part of the Affordable Care Act called cost-sharing reduction payments. These payments function as subsidies sent to insurance companies who use them to cover the costs of insuring low-income recipients of ACA-mandated health insurance plans. The news is a worry to many health insurance providers. However, Montana Blue Cross Blue Shield spokesman John Doran said it's something that his company anticipated with their 21.3% average increase this year.
We built this uncertainty into our market and into our 2018 rates, and that's attributable to 17.3% of that increase. So we anticipated that this could be a likely scenario, and we were the only health carrier in Montana to do so. That represents the financial impact that we anticipated if the CSRs were not going to be paid.
Doran said that nothing will change in the 2018 plans for BCBS, already set to hit the marketplace November 1st, but he inferred that it could drive other providers out of the marketplace.
A substantial amount. I mean, it's the difference between having sustainable products in the marketplace and not offering products in the marketplace.
And in a related story, Montana's insurance commissioner says the two companies offering health insurance through the individual marketplace cannot adjust their rates retroactively to take into account President Trump's decision to end federal subsidies for low to middle income workers. Insurance Commissioner Matt Brosendale said Friday he'll hold the Montana Health Co-op and Pacific Source Health Plans to the rate increases they proposed, which average 4% for the co-op, 7.4% for Pacific Source. Jerry Dworak with the Montana Health Co-op said if the company isn't allowed to update its rates or leave the state, it would end up in receivership due to a political game intent on sabotaging the Affordable Care Act. And one more story about health insurance. Community Medical Center CEO Dean French is watching the drama unfold in Washington as President Trump has taken it upon himself to undo the infrastructure of the Affordable Care Act, known as Obamacare. One of the methods he's using is what we just mentioned to bring to an end what are called cost-sharing reduction payments. French said the idea was tried back in the 1980s.
Back in 1983, we had the ability to have insurance across state lines with association. And the challenge we saw there is that there wasn't anybody minding the ship in terms of what those insurance products were. So people were offering very inexpensive, easy-to-access insurance products, but the actual insurance product itself was not comprehensive.
French gave one example of what might happen with a plan that's not under state supervision. For instance, air ambulance service.
You may be a plan that says, hey, we'll pay up to $50 for your air ambulance services. And some people might take that plan thinking that that's what it costs, is $50 to transport somebody. And, of course, it costs thousands of dollars. And so that's the fear that exists right now with this plan. And the devil will be in the details. But we do have past history.
French said the president's plan appeals especially to healthy younger people.
The thought process that's driving this is that it's fundamentally unfair if you're a relatively healthy young person to have to pay higher premiums because you're in a collective with older Americans or unhealthy Americans or people that are requiring higher degree of medical services.
French offered his advice to people who visit the doctor more often than others is to make their views known at the ballot box. A study by the Montana Department of Health and Human Services shows that residents of Missoula and Powell counties in the past fire season visited emergency rooms over 2 times more than last fire season. Air quality specialist with the Missoula City County Health Department, Sarah Cofield, revealed the broad facts of the study late last week.
Looking at end of July through the very first beginning of September, they were able to look at Missoula and Powell County residents and found that there was a 2.3 times increase in the number of people going to emergency departments from the Missoula and Powell counties with respiratory complaints.
Cofield said the preliminary numbers certify the health department's concerns for residents near the Rice Ridge fire that they should have taken more precautions while living in the chronic toxic smoke over the summer.
Definitely is just that very preliminary first look at things. We are seeing what looks like some definite measurable impacts from the smoke in our communities, which, considering the amount of smoke that we had, it's not surprising, and we expect to learn a lot more as more research continues.
The Rice Ridge fire consumed over 160,000 acres from its start on July 24th to the present. It is now the second most expensive fire to fight in Montana history at $45 million. Number one was the Lolo Peak fire. A Missoula woman has been sentenced to more than 2 years in federal prison on drug charges in an interstate methamphetamine distribution case that led to at least 2 other convictions. District Judge Charles Lovell in Helena handed down the sentence last week against 33-year-old Barbara Jean Satrum. Authorities allege Satram and another woman sold meth for a Washington state man who was arrested last year after entering Montana with 4 pounds of meth. That man, 33-year-old Tillian Gonzalez of Yakima, Washington, was sentenced to almost 11 years in prison in June. The second woman, 33-year-old Rebecca Frankforter of Helena, was sentenced to more than 3 years in prison. Federal prosecutors say Montana is experiencing a surge in methamphetamine-related crimes. The Board of Directors of Montana State Fund has declared a $40 million dividend to the Montana policyholders who have demonstrated excellence in workplace safety. According to MSF President and CEO Lawrence Hubbard, Montana has higher than the national average injury rate.
It's costing us not only lives, but also lots of dollars that should be spent elsewhere in the economy. So this is one way for us to go from Sydney all the way here to Missoula to put a very clear spotlight on the need for changing our workplace safety culture in Montana so that when people go to work in the morning, that they come home just as safe as when they left their home.
Hubbard says one store in Missoula is getting a rather large amount of money back.
The Good Food Store is getting a $112,000 dividend payment back, and the dividend is based on the safety record of the employer. So they're getting about 28% of the premium that they paid in 2015 back, which is real money that they can use to improve workplace safety in their store, as well as reward employees who exercise safe work practices.
He hopes the employers and employees recognize that focusing on workplace safety could lead to a return in dividends. Finally, Montana Department of Highways putting a new seal coat on the recently completed Madison Street bridge decks. The work began yesterday and will continue as weather permits. Drivers should expect some congestion and delays as the seal coat process continues and might want to choose an alternate route if possible. Newstalk time now, 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station. Ample sunshine today with our high temperatures in the low 60s. Winds will be out of the west-southwest at 5 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear. Lows will be in the mid-30s. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.